Nadia.
And I'm Eleni.
And welcome to Sisterhood Social, where we talk about all of the things that, well, we'll just keep going.
We talk about anything and everything and random things and not always organized.
Right? But today we're here to talk about...
You want to pull up our list?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up our hand. We got notes this time.
So professional.
We're going to talk about settling down at the age of, what, I'm 23.
I'm 24.
So, around this age, and I know a lot of people who are in similar situations right now. I guess I want to start from, education. We both took different routes in education. I went a very traditional route, and I went to a 4-year college, got my bachelor's. And, they always tell you, hey, once you get to your bachelor's, you can, get any type of job that you want, And that's been not so much true, especially after all the money you spend in school.
And I wanted to add, too, that we're also talking about finding work and finances and housing and all of those things, because I feel like we just said settle down.
Yeah,
so we wanted to elaborate a little bit so you know what we're actually talking about. But
yeah, we're not going to go into marriage and family and that. That's going to be something different.
Another episode, so stay tuned. So, yeah, you went to college and I did not, even though I'm dressed like it today, right?
I just kind of bummed today.
Well, last episode it was the other way around, so it's okay. But yeah, so we both went to a career in technology program in high school, and I guess both thinking that was going to be what we were going to do forever, which at 16, 17 years old, you definitely don't know. And this is what I hate, because they ask you from the time, you're a little kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they expect you to have everything figured out, know exactly what you want to do and when you want to do it, and when you're 18, it's this expectation that you're going to be set loose and just, be a full-blown adult, which is definitely not true, because if I think back to when I was 18, that was a very different time. Very, very different time.
Yeah.
So, and for me, I thought that I wanted to do cosmetology, which I was all over the place even in high school, because I initially wanted to, do music and be in, the National Philharmonic Orchestra and do all these crazy things. And so when I went to, the high school that we went to, I got accepted into the Advanced Music Studies program, which I really thought is what I wanted to do, which it was not. I was just around all these kids that were super, super smart and were all into music theory, and that's definitely not my thing. And then I decided I wanted to do cosmetology and went there, and I was very, I don't know, I started losing motivation, and, I was I'm not going to take my state board exam, but my teacher was not going to let that happen. So I did stick it out. I did get my hours. I did take the exam, and I passed. So I do have a cosmetology license, but it's sitting collecting dust now.
She don't do nothing with it.
No, I have it, and I still renew it every 2 years so that I have it. And you can get discounts at beauty stores, so that's a plus.
Right.
But, it's something to fall back on, which is, I guess what you have, too. But it's do you really ever use that?
Yeah, I feel like a cosmetology license is at least more of a plan B than what I have is a bachelor's degree. I wanted to actually go back, after I got my bachelor's, to go to cosmetology school, because I was also interested in that same program that they went to.
And you should have done it.
And I should have done it. But I didn't. I listened to a lot of other people, and I was really smart in the sciences, and so I went with biomedical science. And the course was lovely. I loved my teacher. I loved that whole class. And then I went to my college. I guess I won't say what college it was, but I went to college, and I started out as a biology, course, and I had in my mind that I was going to be a forensic examiner, and then I changed my my major halfway through because I was like, I can't do organic chemistry. Like, this isn't what they said it was gonna be. It's not giving what it's supposed to give.
That's how it always is too. Like they promise you
Yeah.
all of these things, and you're gonna work in this amazing field, and it's gonna be great. But
And then I realized I wasn't even gonna make that much money. Like, as much money as I was putting into school, I was not gonna get that back in return as a forensic examiner. I guess maybe depending on like where you get to, but like it was not gonna happen. And plus, I needed like extra schooling, and it was just I didn't have the money for it.
they promise you these great things if you go to college, and if you
Mhm.
do this and that, and like that's just not true.
And I was like this close, this, you know what, I'm gonna put this close from dropping out, like as when I was changing my major. But then my mom was like, oh no, like then you wasted all this money, da da da. But I'm like, it's still a waste of money because I still had 2 years of schooling afterwards with my bachelor's degree, and now I'm looking for a job still. I'm
Yeah.
2 years out of graduating and I'm still looking for a job.
I feel like in high school they promise you that if you go to college, then you know you're gonna succeed, and you're going to, I don't know, have an easy time like finding a career,
Mm-hmm.
which is just not true.
Yeah.
And it's like I know so many people that went to school and then they moved back in with their parents or whatever, and then you know they're just kind of struggling, which is
Yeah.
exactly what I'm doing, even though I didn't go to school. But being in your early 20s, mid 20s, like you just, there's so much expectation that you haven't figured out, and
Mhm.
I do not.
And there's a lot of expectations that you like have your finances together, or at least like are aiming to have those finances together. Where I know a lot of like people my age that are still working at Domino's, still working at like Weiss, or still working at some of these other places where it's not giving good pay and it's not giving insurance.
Like now, if you have a
benefits.
job, then you're lucky. But
Yeah, now if you have, I like thought I was so lucky with my last job working at a call center, because I was like, oh, you know, I'm getting these hours, I'm working from home, and like I got benefits now, and it was just the work and the pay did not add up. Like you were doing a lot of work, and you were highly supervised, and
that happens
It
even at
wasn't
the
good.
jobs that I worked,
Yeah.
and they were not really like that. But like for me, I worked a lot of different types of jobs, and I interviewed like everywhere in the place that we live. I feel like now I realize how many places that I did interview and like
Mhm.
didn't work. But
she
it
worked a
was,
lot of jobs.
I did. It was like a lot of like short-term jobs, I guess, and then you had like yours at, you know, the place that I won't say. when you
Well,
first
okay, no.
working.
I guess I could say like where I was working, because I was working at. I guess I'll go through last year. Last year was 2021, and I was working at Sodexo, and it was a deli on like a military base, and I was just like,
I saw someone from your past. that you
yes,
didn't
I
wanna
did.
see.
I saw my ex-boyfriend, my like ex-boyfriend from middle school at that, and I was just like, oh.
Well, he was in our high school too.
He was in our high school too, but you
He
know,
was probably very
I was-
happy to see you again.
I don't know. It was weird. I was like, let me not.
He's in a different place in his
He's
life.
in a different place. Like everybody else, he's got a wife and kids, but he's working at a commissary. So with like no real health benefits. And I'm just like, couldn't be me. But anyways. Yeah, so I was working there, and like I only worked 3 days a week. It was $18 an hour though, so it was pretty good. Like it was a pretty good rate. But the work environment was so toxic. Like
It's everywhere.
I was only there for like 4 months, and we had like 3 different managers.
Nobody wants to stay there.
Nobody wants to stay there. And then the next job that I had, I actually really liked it. I was a project assistant for a local nonprofit organization, and that job was really cool. But it was contract based, so I got paid once a month. I had no health benefits, and like I still had to drive certain places. I did get reimbursed for like the miles that I drove and stuff, but they terminated my contract because they didn't have enough work for me to do. They were like, oh, yeah, well, we don't really have anything else for you to do, so, like, I don't know why we can, keep you going on. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's fine. And then that's when I worked at the call center, and you guys already know how that went.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and now, I'm back at DoorDash.
That's fine. You're making some money and you're doing something. Like, for me, I had a lot of jobs. I got my first, before I got my first official job, I did a lot of, like, the babysitting and, like, nannying, pet sitting, trying to find the jobs you can work before you can actually work, that kind of job. And so I did, like, that, and then I did a lot of, like, volunteer work because, my mom was really into that stuff. And then I started working at a grocery store. That was my first, like, official job when I was 17. And so I worked there for a year when I was getting my cosmetology license, and then I graduated from cosmetology school and got my license, and I got a job at a salon, which was awful. And I just had a boss that didn't really listen to my anxiety, didn't really care that I was saying, I don't feel ready to do this and I'm really nervous, and he's just like, using the young, naive, like, new 18-year-old fresh out of school person to, work really long hours, work until close, have to take all the money from the store to the bank, which was, like, kind of scary.
That's kind of sketchy.
That young, like, he wanted me to take this huge bag of money, like, to the bank and do all the hard closing stuff, and, he didn't care that I was saying, like, I don't know how to cut men's hair. He, like, didn't care, and I was like, that doesn't look good for you.
Yeah.
So,
like, if people are coming out there with crazy haircuts, like, they're gonna blame it on the whole store, not just you.
And fun story, like, I had a woman once that didn't want a towel, like, behind her neck when I was washing her hair, and so her shirt got wet, and then she was like, oh my god, my shirt is wet. I was like, you refused to use a towel, so what do you want? And then I feel like somebody wrote a really nasty review and on, like, their website or whatever, and I feel like it was definitely about me. And so I ended up, at that time, I started to, like, struggle with my mental health, and just, like, a lot of stuff happened, and so I quit that job, and then my life kind of went way downhill, but, it got back up eventually.
Yeah,
And
it don't ever stay down there. It comes
It doesn't
back
stay up and it doesn't stay down.
Yeah.
So that's what my situation was, and then I got out, and I worked at, like, an early learning center for a while, and they, like, switched my age group. I was working with kids, little kids, and then I don't know what I did after that. Then I went back to the grocery store and I worked in the deli, which was an awful job.
Yeah,
it was
never work
horrible.
in a deli.
And it was so, they overwork you, underpay you, like you said. It's horrible. Like, the amount of work that they had me do was, like, outrageous for what they were paying me.
Yeah, and you worked at a busier deli.
It was super busy.
Because, like, Weis was kind of a big chain, whereas, like, working on the commissary deli, that's, only military personnel can be on there, so.
It was so busy. Like, they had you, obviously serving customers and doing pre-slicing and cleaning dishes and dealing with all the deli stuff and cleaning and closing and the chicken rotisserie thing. Oh my god.
Oh, I hated the chicken.
It was awful. And they left me in the deli alone, like, more than once, like, in the entire deli. And
you know what?
and they were like, oh, just page the manager if you need me. And I was like, beep to the deli, like, all the time, because I was like, you guys can't leave me here doing everything. That's horrible. And then
yeah, when I was first training for the deli job that I had on the military base,
didn't they leave you alone?
They left me alone the second day of me working. Like, I literally was like, I barely even had a training day. I didn't know exactly what I was doing, and I literally was by myself, 8 a.m., and nobody was there. And the person who was supposed to be there, he was like, oh, I'm stuck in traffic. How are you stuck in traffic and you 4 hours late? Like, like, what? That don't make any sense.
I mean, I don't care how desperate you are for money. You don't need to work in a deli. I'm just putting that out there right now.
Especially one that's like that, that's going to leave you alone when you're still training, when you're,
they
not
take advantage
confident.
of people in the deli, for sure.
Probably because they probably didn't keep people well. Like a lot of these jobs don't keep people because they
don't.
underpay and they overwork their employees. And I think we're getting to a point in society where we're not going to take that anymore. We're not going to take it.
I mean, like at the grocery, there were so many people in and out all the time, and now, or this was a couple of years ago, literally not one person that I worked with back in like 2015, 2016 is there anymore. Not one person, not one manager, not anybody. Like anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody, their entire staff is gone. It's just crazy. And so, yeah, I worked there, the salon, and then the ELC, and then back to the deli, and then I worked at, I don't know if I like want to say these places, but I also worked at like another daycare in like a gym, and then I worked at I can't remember all these places, and then I worked at a medical cannabis dispensary, which I really liked. However, it's a very fast-paced, very stressful job, and I just wasn't really in a good place for that job, but maybe I'll do that again because, you know, I'm really interested in that, and I feel like I, you know, was pretty prepared for that job. I had like the knowledge about it too, and so maybe I'll do that again. I don't know. And now I'm a stay-at-home mom, which is a whole other issue because like how can you go to work and also have a baby and be single and not have money and need to put her in childcare but need to work, and it's so stressful.
Yeah, that kind of brings me into like this next point of like finances. Like how are we supposed to do the things that we want to do, pay off the student loans or pay off whatever like debt that we have, if we're not getting jobs that really support that? You know, like I know we both have had some type of like government aid to try and help, but honestly the aid is not aiding. Okay, it doesn't. They don't give you enough for what you actually need, and I get like some people are probably like, oh, well, people don't use it on like stuff that you actually need, but if you are going through all of that paperwork to get,
they don't make it easy at all.
They don't make it easy. Like anybody who's like, oh, you just gotta click this and this and that. It is not like that.
And why do they think that everybody's trying to build the system? Like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to steal money and get benefits just for fun. Like, it is a horrible process, and you know it's a real problem because these are people that really need, you know, whatever it is, housing assistance or food or, you know, just financial aid. It's like you can't get any of that, and they're also not quick about it. Like I will say, you know, as a single mom who has a 1-year-old, like I've had WIC for. Like, I think when I was pregnant, I started getting those benefits, and, like, it is helpful, and I will say, like, with that, they're a little bit better and faster at getting you benefits and getting you through the paperwork, because I think they understand that, you know, mothers and children can't wait weeks and weeks to get food. And then, I mean, I've also received food stamps. I think you haven't, but,
no.
Like, that's a whole mess, and then if you even try to do anything like disability or UI or I don't know. And then like this year or the last year, it was like crazy with doing your tax returns and then all the stimulus payments, and it was just like it was financial frenzy. It was horrible.
It was really bad last year. Like because I went on unemployment in 2020, which I guess I really shouldn't have been on unemployment. I was unemployed. I didn't, you know, I had like just quit my job as a personal care assistant. Which, you know, anyways, I won't get into that because that was a whole nother mess. But after that, I got on unemployment because my mom was like, oh yeah, they're just giving out free money. And I mean, that's what like everybody thinks. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, if they're giving out extra money for COVID, I might as well apply because I qualify. So I did apply. I got the money, which I did not, you know, use in, illegal manner or whatever that people think. You know, I used it to purchase my car, which my car broke down and I needed it for whatever potential work that I was going to get in the future, and then also school because I was still in school at that time. And come like tax season 2021, It was a hot mess. They told me that I owed them $4,000. First of all, if you are giving out unemployment aid, what makes you think they have money for taxes? Like,
Yeah.
you should already tax it and then get it to them. And for the people who are like, oh well, you gotta click the option to have them take the tax out. I did. They only took out 160, something like that, $100.
That's not $4,000.
That's not $4,000.
That's crazy. I don't think I had to pay anything back, but that was probably like income based or something. But I don't know. I mean, for me, I think what I got was like maybe $6,000 or something like that. And I don't know. It's like helpful, but it's not, and it's still, I don't know, just anything that I've gotten like in my bank account, I just question, like when I finally got my UI debit card at the time when they were doing like the Bank of America cards, I finally got one and I was like so nervous to even spend anything on it because I was like, is this really for me to spend? Like I feel like they're gonna, F me over later, which they kind of did, but I don't know, it's like, it's just really, I was like, can I really spend this? Like, am I gonna owe? And then my mom was like, well, you should put like a couple $1,000s aside, and I don't know, really stressful.
Yeah.
And I was told that I don't qualify for it or whatever, and then I was like, recently-ish, I was getting like $60 a week or something, and then they took that away from me. I was like, it was $60. It was $60
Legally $60. Yeah, that's the other thing too.
And now they have all the work search requirements, and that's kind of awful. I had her fill out my weekly certification when I was on vacation because I didn't have my laptop, and then their like computer room was closed at this hotel, and so I had you do it, but then I guess they caught on that I was like filling out the form incorrectly and not really doing the reemployment activities correctly or doing them, and then they were just like, oh, sorry, you can't even like open a new claim, and I was like, it was like $65 a week, and I really needed that. So
yeah, that's the other thing about unemployment is that they take away your money real quick. Like,
and it's random.
And it's random when they give you the money,
like,
too.
they'll do that with food stamps, too. Like, I have a lot of financial conversations with my mom, especially because, we're talking about money and me repaying her and that kind of stuff. And, I had to, like, explain to her with these types of, like, programs, like, they will just they'll give you benefits randomly and you'll be surprised, and then they'll just, like, take them away, and then you can't contact anyone, and it just goes on and on and on. And like, I had to explain to my mom, like, I just lost these benefits, or I did that, and then she's like, oh, all you have to do is call them. I was like, it's not that easy.
It's not that easy.
And you can never reach anybody when you call those numbers, like, just saying.
Yeah, it's so hard to get that. When I got on, I think I applied for unemployment in, like, April or something. I think it was, like, April of 2020. It might have been a little bit earlier than that. I didn't actually get any benefits, even though it said that I was qualified. I was making the weekly claims, and I still wasn't seeing any money. I hadn't even gotten the card until, like, I think it was June or July when I actually started seeing the money that I applied for, and I was still making claims. And they just gave me, like, a lump sum of money, and then they stopped giving me money, and then they gave me another lump sum of money, and I was like, bro, why don't you give it to me, like, y'all don't have a system to have it come out weekly? Like, I'm doing the claims weekly. Shouldn't the money be in there weekly? Like,
they don't have anything together.
They don't have it together. I don't know if it's, like, different for other states, or, like, well, because unemployment, isn't that, like, federal benefits? I don't know. I know that you owe some money to the state if you take it out, too. Like, they still do state taxes and then federal taxes on that.
Like, I definitely clicked to have all of my taxes taken out or whatever, like you said, and I don't know. I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like,
yeah. It's because, like, you're not actually employed with the government, so they're like, well, we don't actually have to take these taxes out. Like, we aren't required, but because you check the box, we might take a little bit.
Finding an apartment, finding a place when you're 24, 23, it's a nightmare.
So given all of those things that we just talked about, finding work, or starting with education, getting education or not getting education, how that affects you trying to get a job, and the current job market, which is kind of all over the place. It's really a hot mess right now. And then given that you can't find a job that really pays well or has benefits, but you still have all of these bills that you need to pay, even if it's just small, like phone bills, credit card bills, car notes, or like, you know, all that adds up at the end of the month. And if you're not getting paid well, where's the extra money going to go, you know, after food?
Didn't you say that you didn't get a stimulus payment either? Like
I
you didn't
never
get
got
anything?
any of them. I didn't get a single stimmy. I did not get one panini bread. I did not get anything.
Which I feel like you should have, which is weird.
Yeah, I didn't qualify for any of them, so they never gave me any money.
I feel like everyone's stimulus payments, they're gone. They're not being saved
Yeah.
anyway.
I mean, they weren't even a lot of money anyway.
I
But
think what the biggest one was like 1,600, 1,400, maybe.
I don't even know because I didn't see any. I don't know what y'all got. Y'all lucky. But like, now the housing market is so freaking astronomical. Like the price. John and I went to go see.
Your boyfriend.
Yeah, my boyfriend. For those who don't know, John is my boyfriend. And we were on a walk, and we saw that there were 2 open houses in the like a nearby townhouse complex or whatever. And we went there, and we were like, "Oh, this is nice. You know, it's pretty houses. Like they're really nice." And then we were asking like, "Oh, you know, how much is this going for?" And the dude said $470K. That's when I know how to leave. And then we went to another one, and that one was $500. And I was like, for a townhouse? It's not even a house. You can literally you could pass a Sprite to the next person if they're on their porch at the same time as you. Like, that's how close you are.
I think they just want people to be homeless.
They want people to be homeless. Like, I get it.
It would
like,
be so easy to become homeless right now, like, for anybody, but, you know, it really doesn't take much, and it's scary because it's like, you know, I am 24 and I'm a mom, and I don't want to rely on my mom or be financially dependent, but it's super difficult to find any place, and I just wanted, like, a simple, you know, 2-bedroom apartment for me and my daughter, because, like, obviously I want her to have her own room as she gets older, and I would even be fine with a 1-bedroom if I had to, but it's, like, so unattainable to move out, and it's something that I've always felt like I could never do since I was, you know, like 18 years old.
Yeah, and apartments are pretty bad too. Like around here, we're not even in like a big city or anything, and it's still like
It's ridiculous.
1,600 to
Like the
2,000.
cheapest.
Yeah, 1,600 is cheap, and a lot of times you're not getting a lot.
That's still a lot of money for 1 month's
for
rent.
1 month's rent, and I'm like, how are we supposed to live? Like, can we can we cap it, like, at some point, just say no, like, we're not doing this?
Yeah, my mom randomly said that the place my brother is staying in right now is like $900 a month. I'm like, is that real? Like,
Are those real prices?
I don't know. My mom has a friend that apparently, like, helped him find that place, but I'm like, you can't find a place like that, or if you do, it's, like, really awful, and,
yeah,
you know, I can't find a place, and I also need to be in a place that I feel safe with my child, and then, you know, if you even go onto the website for, like, Section 8 housing vouchers, it's ridiculous. It is awful. Like, there's nowhere to even, like, apply to get, like, legit information, and I've looked at, like, the places that apparently accept, like, Section 8 housing or whatever, and it's just, like, that whole website's a mess. It's not
And
even real, and, like, of course they're, like, in bad places.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
and
they're never any, like, nice places for
I'm like, I'm not
people.
asking for a luxury apartment with, like, all of these, like, amenities. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
but at
care.
least have, like, working things. At least have it be clean. And, like, in a neighborhood where you don't have to worry about your kids getting shot or something. Like,
Yeah.
you don't really want that.
But I don't know, like, the thing is that I think minimum wage is $12.20 where we live, and I am just saying, like, even if you work 40 hours a week full-time with benefits and stuff, you still can't pay
You still
rent,
can't.
which I just don't understand, like, how anybody is supposed to like be an adult and live independently with that.
Yeah,
it's
everybody has to have a roommate now.
Well, and for me, it's like, I would be fine with going out and working, but I'm limited to jobs that I can take my daughter with me, or if I wanted to go out and work, then like my arrangement with her dad would have to change, or I would have to, have money to put her in childcare, but I can't get money without working, and childcare is ridiculous, which is another whole thing to talk about.
Yeah. My mom was paying like $360 some a week.
Yeah.
For my brother to go to daycare.
It's so expensive. It's like I have anxiety about her going to school, but it's like I guess it's also relieving when parents have, kids go to school because then they're finally getting some time back.
Yeah.
But it's impossible because it's like if I'm going to take her with me, then it has to be a daycare. Or I guess I could enroll her in like an ELC, but I'm not about that life. I'm not that kind of mom. So, and I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but like that's not really working out financially.
Right.
And so,
and there's a lot of scams out here that are like at stay-at-home jobs. Like there are some legit ones. I mean, the one that I had was legit. It was just god awful.
Or like all the websites that say like perfect for stay-at-home moms. I'm like, no, they're not.
And like I feel like they really target stay-at-home moms. They are really, because they know that like, oh, they're gonna want to provide for their children. They're gonna want to feel like they're contributing to the household. But also, like, I feel like there's this connotation that, like, stay-at-home moms are dumb or stupid or something like that, and they're, like, easy to scam.
But they also judge working moms.
Yeah, they judge working moms, too.
Because you're not at home with your kids and spending time with them. I think I sent you a message, like, a while back, like, how unfair being a mom is. Like, not going to get into a rant about this, but I just want to say that, they judge you from the very beginning about every decision that you make in your pregnancy. And I mean, I don't even really want to get into a conversation about this, but I'm just
let's
saying,
not get into it.
All the judgments surrounding pregnancy, your decisions with birth and breastfeeding and education and vaccines, like it doesn't end. Mm-hmm. And so I would love to talk about that, but I'm not going to.
We're not going to. We're talking about housing. Okay?
I just wanted to say,
about...
moms are judged for everything that they do, and finding a legit stay-at-home remote job is not really a thing right now. And so that is why I'm so, into the TikToks and YouTube and podcasts. So please check it out. It would be a lot for me.
Please. If you made it this far, thank you so much for tuning into a sisterhood social. Ooh,
we don't know the name of our own podcast. Which honestly, we're not in love with the name.
Yeah, we're not in love with the name. So, if you're on YouTube, please leave in the comments, like, what our new name should be. If you made it this far and you enjoy our podcast and you want to see us grow and continue to do what we're doing, just throw out some options down there. Maybe we'll pick yours.
Yeah, you guys could really help us, and maybe we'd be able to afford a place then. Because we also talked about, like, sharing a place someday in the future, like if she and her boyfriend, future husband one day, like, get a house or something, then maybe I could, like, rent part of that house with my daughter. But, again, like, finding roommates is impossible, and, like, she would be the only person that I would kind of trust, but it's like...
Kind of.
kind of trust,
Only partially, like 50-50.
Right. But, I don't know. Like, I wish that we could get just, like, an apartment now, but it's, like, so impossible, and then, I don't know what I'm going to do. Guys, I'm going to be homeless if you don't watch this, so watch it, please. Sisterhood Social, and, on... What is it? I don't even remember.
Spotify,
Google Podcasts, and we tried Apple or whatever, but that didn't work.
Yeah, Apple, it might be coming on Apple, it might not. Don't get your hopes up. But Spotify, Google Play for sure, or Google Podcasts for sure.
And it's going to be on YouTube
and
now,
also YouTube.
That we're filming it. So, yeah, hopefully this is actually going to be out soon, and you guys are going to see it. And, just leave any words of encouragement, kind suggestions only, please, and